Partners of narcissistic personalities, of manipulative personalities, tend to have elevated personality traits. For example, agreeability. So agreeability means that in general you're very likable, and you tend to get along well with other people. When you're making decisions and communicating with them, you're willing to make compromises, try to come to joint decisions together. And before that reason, people tend to be drawn to you and like to be around you. People who are more narcissistic tend to be very low in agreeability, not willing to make compromises or concessions. So agreeability, hyper empathy. Empathy is the ability to see things from another person's perspective, put yourself in their shoes, and also feel their pain. Hyper empathy is something that can develop as a result of childhood trauma, and some people are also just born hyper empathetic. People who are narcissistic tend to not have empathy. And so that means not only are they incapable of sensing or feeling the pain that you are in and understanding that, but they also then struggle to see things from your perspective or put themselves in your shoes. And so since you're highly agreeable and hyper empathetic, meaning that you want to restore cooperation, restore harmony, and also very easily can see something from another person's point of view and perspective, when you're dealing with somebody that is very manipulative, you can then see how those two traits alone can be exploited and used against you. So something that can happen is that when you're having a conversation about a problem, which by the way, another elevated trait is that you tend to be a problem solver, is that you're trying to figure out the solution, but you're speaking to somebody who is manipulative and their aim is not to find a solution. So your two desires, your aims are very different. You're trying to find a solution to resolve it, to fix it, and they're trying to assert dominance or control or get away with something or cover up a lie, not really to have an honest conversation and go on a process of healing with you. Tenacity, perseverance, grit, which means that you're not afraid of challenges or hard work. In fact, when challenges occur, that can make you try harder, So then it gets hard. You're not afraid of a challenge. You'll try harder. You'll work harder. You'll put in more. That probably worked really well for you professionally, contributing to your career success. That can prevent you from being able to see maybe this is so hard and feels like it's not working out because it isn't working out. Maybe everything that's happening right now is trying to show me that this isn't right. It shouldn't be that hard. So you can start to see then how these collection of traits, highly agreeable, hyper empathy, tenacity, grit, perseverance, are creating sort of this complex that may make it extremely difficult for you to leave something once it starts going south. These same traits tend to be attractive to narcissistic personalities. In fact, studies reveal that oftentimes in the beginning of these relationships, narcissistic people will test you. They'll test you by telling you a story about their childhood or their relational limitations, some kind of trauma that they went through, or having some kind of an unresolved issue. And they'll do that as a way of testing you to see and measure your empathetic reaction. Oh, I'm so sorry you went through that. Let me see if I can help you. For many women that have gone through this, that story that they were told becomes the reason why their partner is like this. Because of their childhood traumas, all the things they went through. That's why they're like this. I just need to be more patient, more loving, get them help, etc. It gives them the reason for why their partner was as abusive as they had been in the relationship. or deceitful or manipulative or toxic. When many women who are in this situation get misdiagnosed as codependent, because what can happen when you're in an abusive relationship or in a relationship with somebody that has an untreated addiction, your focus and your attention goes on them. You start thinking, like, what's wrong? How can I help them? And you also are in love with this person. You love them. And maybe you have children with them and a life built with them. And you want to try to fix it, not understanding necessarily the full-on severity of the situation that you're in yet. So what happens to these positive traits? These are traits that are thought to be a sign of intelligence, agreeability, cooperation, harmony seeking, problem solving, persevering, ambitious. Those are traits that people want to cultivate in themselves, that you are naturally are endowed with. This is the reason why you have been successful in many areas in your life, usually professionally. But those traits, when you've now been exposed to a certain amount of gaslighting, which being gaslit refers to what happens to a person when they've been chronically lied to and manipulated. You've experienced a series of traumatic incidences with your partner. Those traits start getting twisted, and they don't express themselves in the full capacity and healthy way in which they could if they were in a nutritive environment where they were supported. So what was once agreeability and willing to compromise and have a conversation and come to an agreement and create a process to reach and achieve a goal together with your partner becomes over-functioning, self-neglect, people-pleasing to extreme, anxiety, depression, self-blame, shame, and guilt. Where this is different than being a codependent person is that women in these situations are not codependent in any other area of their life. They have healthy friendships, they have healthy relationships at work. It's this one spot. And it is discounting the fact that this woman has been living for a year, several years, decades in an abusive and a toxic relationship. The reason why it's important for you to understand these traits is, one, because it helps you to understand why you were even targeted. Like I said, narcissistic personalities tend to find those traits attractive because they know that this woman is going to stick around, that she's not going to be easy to break down, because that wouldn't be very much fun, that she's going to be a bit of a challenge, and she's going to endure the treatment. She's going to put up with it for a while because of the empathy feature there. So it's important to know that, because women do get retargeted. That happens. Successive narcissistic relationships absolutely happen. And part of the reason why they happen is because you don't understand yourself yet totally, and your personality and how it functions. You will never not be hyper empathetic. That's not going to happen. You're always going to be empathetic. That's not going to go anywhere. But you need to learn how to manage your empathy and know when is it appropriate to help someone and when is it appropriate to lean back. When is it appropriate to keep going? When is self-preservation a non-negotiable? And that takes discernment, and that takes self-understanding. The other reason it's important to understand these traits is because usually by the end of a narcissistic relationship, there is some need for restoration. Your self-esteem has taken a huge hit, and there needs to be some repair to reclaim who you are outside of this relationship trauma and restore your identity and your confidence